Hi everyone, I'm Debbie DeMarco Bennett, founder of DBT Path, and today I wanted to have a real conversation about something I care deeply about. The gap between understanding emotional struggles and actually having the skills to navigate them in real life, especially for people living with BPD, emotional overwhelm, trauma histories, intense sensitivity, or nervous systems that feel like they're constantly in survival mode. One of the hardest things about emotional dysregulation isn't just the emotions themselves. It's being told over and over again what you should do without anyone actually teaching you how. People hear things like, calm down, don't react, communicate better, set boundaries, use coping skills. But when someone is emotionally flooded, terrified of abandonment, spiraling in shame, panicking, dissociating, or overwhelmed by relationship conflict, those instructions can almost feel impossible to access in that moment. And that's the gap I've spent the last 13 years trying to help fill. This work is deeply personal to me. I'm not speaking from a distance. I know what it feels like to struggle emotionally. I know what it feels like to be misunderstood. I know what it feels like to desperately want things to get better while still feeling trapped in painful patterns. And over the years, I've also had the incredible privilege of watching people learn skills that genuinely begin changing their lives. Not overnight, not perfectly, but gradually. One small moment at a time. For me, DBT was never about becoming emotionless. It was never about becoming some perfectly regulated robot human who never gets triggered or overwhelmed. It was about learning how to survive emotional storms without destroying yourself in the process. And honestly, that distinction matters so much. I think one of the biggest misconceptions about people with BPD or emotional sensitivity is that they're somehow manipulative, dramatic, attention-seeking, or impossible to help. And I have to say very clearly, that has not been my experience. What I've seen are deeply sensitive human beings whose nervous systems are constantly sounding alarm bells. People who feel things intensely, people who love intensely, people who fear loss intensely, people who may have experienced trauma, invalidation, chaos, instability, neglect, or emotional environments where they never really learned how to feel safe inside themselves. And when you combine emotional sensitivity with a lack of practical coping skills, life can start to feel unbearable. Relationships become exhausting, conflicts feel catastrophic, shame becomes overwhelming. The nervous system never fully relaxes. Even small stressors can feel enormous. Over the years, I kept seeing this heartbreaking pattern. People would leave therapy sessions with their individual therapists, understanding why they struggled, but still not knowing what to actually do at 11 p.m. during a panic spiral, a relationship rupture, an emotional crash, or an impulsive urge. Insight alone usually isn't enough. People also need skills, repetition, practice, support, encouragement, and compassionate accountability while they're learning. That's where DBT skills can become so incredibly powerful. And when I say DBT skills, I'm talking about dialectical behavior therapy, practical real-life tools, not just theory. Things people can actually reach for during hard moments. Mindfulness skills, emotion regulation skills, distress tolerance skills, interpersonal effectiveness skills, skills that help people slow down enough to make different choices. One thing I often tell my students at DBT Path is this. DBT is not about never feeling emotional pain again. It's about reducing unnecessary suffering and helping people respond to pain in ways that don't create more pain afterward. Distress tolerance, for example, is one of my favorite DBT modules because it helps people survive emotional crises without making things worse. And honestly, in today's world, I think these skills matter more than ever. People are overwhelmed, the world feels loud, fast, uncertain, emotionally exhausting. And this is for a greater portion of humanity, not just people who struggle with BPD or emotional sensitivity or trauma, anything that would dysregulate their emotions. Many humans are experiencing dysregulated emotions because of the conditions we're experiencing right now. And many people are carrying chronic stress, grief, financial fear, health anxiety, burnout, relationship strain, nervous system overload, and they're trying to function while emotionally running on fumes. And for emotionally sensitive people, all of that can hit even harder. Sometimes people feel ashamed of how deeply they're affected by things, but emotional sensitivity is not a weakness. It often means the nervous system has simply been carrying too much for too long. One of the reasons I created DBT Path was because I wanted people to have access to ongoing support and skills and reinforcement in a more accessible, human-centered way. I wanted to help bridge the gap between therapy sessions and real life, because healing usually doesn't happen from hearing one brilliant insight one time. Healing tends to happen through repetition, practice, repair, community, trying again, learning new patterns slowly over time, building those new neural pathways. And I wanted people to feel less alone. That part matters so much. So many emotionally sensitive people secretly walk around feeling broken, defective, too much, too needy, too emotional, too difficult, when in reality, many of them are trying unbelievably hard every single day just to hold themselves together. At DBT Path, we try to create an environment that feels supportive, compassionate, and practical. A place where people can learn at their own pace while still feeling connected. Where they can ask questions, practice skills, receive feedback, come back after setbacks, and keep learning without shame. Because setbacks are part of the process, not proof of failure. I think sometimes people imagine healing as this straight upward line where someone learns a skill once and then magically never struggles again. But real healing usually looks messier than that. It's more like, I paused for 5 seconds before reacting this time, or I used one coping skill instead of 5 destructive behaviors, or I repaired a relationship conflict faster than I used to. Those moments matter. Those are real changes. And over time, those small moments begin adding up. People begin trusting themselves again. Their nervous systems slowly learn more safely. Relationships become more stable. Emotions become more manageable. Not perfect, but more manageable. And honestly, sometimes that's huge. If you're watching this as someone personally struggling, I just want you to know that you are not hopeless and you are not beyond help. And if you are a clinician, a family member, a partner, a loved one watching this, thank you for trying to understand emotional sensitivity more compassionately. That effort matters more than you probably realize. Our next distress tolerance module at DBT Path begins June 8th, and honestly, it's one of the modules I feel most passionate about teaching, because these are the skills people reach for during some of the hardest moments of their lives. The moments where emotions feel unbearable, the moments where emotions and urges feel overwhelming, the moments where people desperately need something concrete to hold on to. So whether you're someone looking for support personally or someone hoping to help a client or a loved one, I'm really glad you found this video, and I truly hope it helped you feel a little less alone. Thank you so much for being here, and remember, emotional sensitivity does not make you weak. Sometimes it simply means that your nervous system has been carrying more than most people can see. Take good care of yourself. Hope to see you in class very soon at emotionallysensitive.com.